you filthy swines, get in here, have a seat, and we're going to read some news. Make sure you hit the like and follow buttons. So let's crack on, shall we? A few weeks ago we did an article about near-death experiences, but I wondered, are there any examples of people who have had near-death experiences but they feel that they have gone to the other place? Well, this article on the Daily Mail, written by Chris Mellor, I went straight to hell after overdosing, then I learned the terrifying truth about human suffering. After overdosing on heroin, a young woman went to hell only to learn a terrifying truth about her own existence. During the near-death experience in 2019, Betty Guadagno of New York said she was shown that her addiction to drugs and trauma throughout her life wasn't random. It was part of a life she consciously agreed to live before she was born. Oh no. Guadagno claimed that in this experience she saw her own book of life, revealing that she had chosen certain traumas and challenges to face on Earth, including breaking the cycle of drug use in her family. Guadagno said that she became an atheist and fell into heavy drug addiction after her parents, who were also addicts, both died of suicide in 2007. At the age of 35, she overdosed on heroin and entered another realm where she went through a painful life review, feeling all the harm she had done to others as if it was happening to her, which Guadagno called her own personal hell. She then entered a light filled with love, where Guadagno said it became clear she had chosen this difficult life to grow her soul and break her family's cycle of addiction for a greater spiritual purpose. After surviving her near-death experience, Guadagno admitted she still went back to drugs at first, but soon encountered unexplainable events, such as all of her drug dealers quitting at the same time, leading her to experience terrible withdrawal pain. That's when the heroin addict had her next spiritual experience, where a voice guided her to ask for healing, and a vision of helpers clearing her mind miraculously took the pain of her addiction away. And she looks good now. She looked very sleepy before. She needs a coffee, maybe. A former prostitute who pressured her boyfriends into using drugs as well, Guadagno said her shocking trip to the afterlife spurred her to turn her life around, helping those battling addiction or trauma as a transformation and recovery coach. Guadagno told the YouTube channel NDE Journey that her near-death experience took place in her home when she collapsed on the bathroom floor while getting high. She was immediately transported to a dark, ocean-like environment where she watched her entire life replay in front of her. All the people she had harmed through her drug addiction came back to haunt her as she was drowning in an ocean of anguish. It was like I was being tortured because I was actually experiencing the way I had made other people feel, and I did not make people feel good. And there wasn't really anything kind inside my life. Review, Guadagno explained. I thought I was dead because I was seeing dead people around me. I saw my parents. I knew that they were dead. It felt like there was this reel of my life going around, and I think I heard something about a life review at some point in my life. Once her flashback of the pain in her life ended, Guadagno was carried into a realm of light where she heard her dead father's voice chanting, "You are worthy of all the love in the universe." In her visions of the afterlife, she claimed to have seen herself on a spaceship-like structure where a beam of light told other souls they were the most special volunteers because they had volunteered to come to Earth for the Great Awakening. At that moment, Guadagno said she was shown her book of life, revealing the life experiences and hardships she had decided to face as a human after her birth. For Guadagno, that included the decision to break all generational curses of abuse and addiction her parents had succumbed to. Despite resisting returning to Earth, the 35-year-old was thrown back into her body and miraculously survived the overdose without assistance. So how do we know it was an overdose and she didn't just get extremely high? Despite no one being there to administer anti-overdose medications, she somehow survived and was able to recall the entire episode that would soon change her life. So it really did happen. I spent my whole life living as just this little earth-dwelling caterpillar rolling around in the mud. I had no idea that one day I was going to bloom into this beautiful butterfly, Guadagno said in the December 6th video. The NDE shifted her perspective, making her realize that every situation in my life that I have ever felt victimized by. Every single one of them I had chosen for the involvement of my soul. I'm not a victim of the world around me. I am a divine co-creator of my reality, Guadagno added. Before her NDE, the New Yorker called herself a ruthless abuser, getting all of her romantic partners strung out on drugs and manipulating other women to turn to prostitution. Guadagno even mentioned that one of her boyfriends ended up dying of an overdose, which left her racked with guilt and shame. She added that her own upbringing was marred by childhood sexual trauma that had allegedly become a common experience throughout her family line. Her experience became even stranger after returning to her body, as every single drug dealer Guadagno dealt with over the past decade mysteriously quit the business after her overdose. A man that I had been dealing with every day for 10 years, a whole decade of my life. I talk to this guy every single day, and I call him and he's like, "Listen, lose my number, I'm out of the game. I found Jesus and I want to be a good dad," she recounted. She described the spiritual vision that removed her heroin addiction as seeing two men in lab coats with lawnmowers walk through her mind, cleaning out all the withdrawal pains, causing her to feel hot tingles and seeing a bright white flash. Okay. In that moment, I was instantaneously healed out of the day 3 heroin withdrawal. It was the most that was divine intervention at it. Pardon? It was the most that was divine intervention at its fullest. Kind of, there's a bit of a broken statement there, but whatever. Let's see about this video. There she is. Guadagno! I'm going to watch this, unless it's very long, in which case we'll stop watching it very quickly. Brace yourselves. I'm going to press the play button, and it might be good. I don't know.
I had this experience where I was instantaneously healed out of heroin withdrawal. I had this moment where I heard this voice and it told me that I could request what I wanted fixed. And I was in the throes of desperation. So I was like, okay, strange voice, I want to no longer be addicted to heroin. Help. And they told me to count backwards from 10. And as I did, these two little men appeared in my mind's eye. And then there was this bright white flash. And in that moment, I was instantaneously healed out of day 3 of heroin withdrawal. It was that was divine intervention at its fullest.
Who knows how, if these experiences are true, whether or not they are specifically tailored to each individual. So you could look at somebody's personal experience of a near-death experience and wonder what that's all about. But maybe, like dreams, they are built from your subconscious. I don't know. But she doesn't exactly go to hell. So she went straight to hell after overdosing. That's not what's described later on. You said you had a life review, and because you had a crappy life, you didn't like what you were reviewing. What do people say? People from Ralph Mazzarella in the United States. Every human is unique. Every human's experience is unique. For this reason, this type of experience cannot be submitted to the scientific method. You can put different stuff into a different test tubes and expect to get the same compound. Science can look for the commonality in these experiences to begin to understand the plausibility. Look to what young children who have been inoculated by religion say. Look to the atheists who have come back. Look to what the blind have seen. Then sort the commonality that is found. And yes, digest it all with an open mind. Those who deny these personal recitations of NDE have great faith also. They have a faith in their own conviction that these convictions are as personal to the NDE as the NDE encounters. By the same reasoning, I just can't believe your near-death experience conclusions. I think I get what you're saying there. I'm going to give you a 1 up there. Yeah, they are very personal to the person, I imagine. But I wonder, is that a common feature of people's near-death experiences where they have a life review? That seems to be quite common for people to say that their life flashed before their eyes. So that seems to be quite common. She seemed to have had one of those experiences. The rest of the trappings around that experience seem to be unique to her. But that does seem to be a common feature of near-death experiences. The tunnel also seems to be a common feature. Being told you have a greater destiny seems to be a common feature. So that's interesting, yeah. Good for her. If this is indeed true, good for her. Good for you, love. Thank you very much for joining me. Make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe if you really like the show. But that is it for now. And the only thing I have left to say is Pigwig out.
Oink, oinkity, snort, snuffle, snuffle, squeak, oink, oink, re, squeal. Snort, snort, oink, kitty, squeal. Oink, 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 squeal, squeal, wee, wee, wee. Shuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squeal. Oink, 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 wee, 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 wee. Oh. Snort, shuffle, oink, squeal, squeal, wee, snort, oinky, oinkity, oink, oink, shuffle, wee, squeal, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, 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 squeal, squeal, wee, wee, wee. Shuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squeal. Oink, 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 wee, 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 wee. Oh. Oink, oinkity, snort, snuffle, snuffle, squeal. Oinkity, oink, oink, snuffle, re-squeeze, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, 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 squeeze, squeal, wee, wee, wee. Shuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinkity, oink, snort, snort, squeal. Oink, 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 wee, 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 wee. Oh. Squeal, squeal. Snort, shuffle, oink, re-squeal, re-snort, oinky, oinkity, oink, 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 shuffle, re-squeeze, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, oink, oinkity, squeeze, squeal, re, snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squeal. Oink, 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 re, oh. Squeal, squeal, snort, snuffle, oink,